My name is Lisa Hernandez, and I am also running for co-cultural coordinator. Upon trying to decide why I wanted to run for COCO, I came up with 3 specific reasons. One, of course, being that my first PCC was an amazing, enjoyable experience. Part of why it was an amazing and enjoyable experience is because of what PCC exactly represents. And it's a way where you learn about the culture and the issues that Filipinos and other communities have. Secondly, it was a way to grow socially and individually. It was really nice to see people coming together. It was nice to see people breaking out of their shells, doing things. I mean, I've never done a contemporary piece before. I don't have the flexibility or the body type for it, and I did it. And so it was nice, and it was nice to see everyone else. Do it. That said, I think as much as I enjoyed the production in general, like showcasing it off, I think for me, I enjoyed the process so much more because of all the things that happened. And because of that, because I enjoyed the process so much, it made me want to help plan them, or people that planet or whatever. And another thing that I want to throw out, like PCC, out of all the events that happened, or that KP through this year, PCC was the one that I was most involved in. And I felt that because of that, COCO is a position that fits for me. Okay, another reason. So I know that being co-culture coordinator is not just about taking care of PCC generally. It's there's more stuff to being co-cultural coordinator than just doing PCC. And so because of that, or before I go into that, I wanted to say that I want to throw out the whole I've had prior leadership experiences back in high school, and I feel that even though high school was back then, all those things that I've learned is still a part of me. And to be honest, I miss having those leadership experiences, and I feel like everyone kind of has their purpose in life, and for me, part of that, or for me, part of my purpose, I think, is to help people, which is why I'm also running for this position. And speaking of experiences, I guess you can say, with being a leader, I know how it is to be a leader. I know how to prioritize. I know how to work with people. I know how to negotiate. Speaking of which, working with people, when I say working with people, I don't just mean people who are my peers. I've had experiences where I've worked with younger people, had experience with older people, and I think a part of that's what makes a person professional. So I think, I don't know, as COCO, I think I would be professional. Oh, and I know how it feels to have so much going on for you, and so you're going through a lot. And I know how to prioritize things and to make sure that certain things get done. And yeah, the third thing, the main thing, is that throughout, I believe, winter quarter and spring quarter was when I started, hearing about some of the concerns and suggestions that people had to kind of implement the cultural aspect of KP in KP more. I've also heard, concerns and suggestions regarding PCC in general, and I think upon hearing those things, not only at the open forum at one of the PCC weekends, I've heard it just I don't know, when everything was going on with the situation on campus regarding regarding the situation on campus, there's concerns and suggestions that I heard from people, I don't know, I guess it triggered something inside me that could be oh, you can, solve that. There's something that you can do. And I believe that since I got that triggered feeling or whatever, that's the reason why I'm running for COCO, because I want to be able to, cater to people's wants and needs, etc. So, with all that said, my main goals is to clarify what culture is in PCC, and part of that will be through workshops or open discussions that I believe that we can do. And to just develop and provide the means for that cultural aspect for KP. Another goal would be to use the suggestions, concerns, and my personal enjoyable experience to put on a great PCC show, and more importantly, give people an enjoyable process or whatever, or enjoyable experience during the process where everyone can just feel comfortable and safe. So I have some goals that I created or that I thought about to meet those goals. Okay, so I think people have this misconception about what culture is, and I think like when a lot of clubs try to demonstrate culture, I think they try to do kind of like the superficial things, like, oh, okay, through a dance we'll show you our culture. You'll see this dance, and then you can copy it, and you can learn about our culture, blah blah blah. Or here, I'll feed you this, and you can learn about our culture that way. And that's cool and everything, and like that does like reflect culture and whatnot. But for my classes, last quarter up to this quarter, I've taken a lot of like social science GEs, and I learned that culture is way more than that. Culture, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, like more and okay. But culture is more. It's more than it's more than that. It's more than just like that. I think a lot of us tend to think of culture as more of like the ethnic, racial, I don't know, part. Like we identify culture with that, with ethnic and racial stuff. And what I want to do for next year is to show that culture is more than that. Culture is comprised of like class, status, language, your beliefs, your values, your lifestyles, and it even goes in so far as to incorporate like your sexual orientation and your gender. And I feel that if we can hold workshops or open discussions where people can freely talk about these things, we can kind of, I don't know, see what we think Filipino culture is, and kind of like how we can identify like ourselves within the Filipino culture and to like society or the community as well. I think that would be nice. And like my hopes in doing that, because we are a SAC organization, is for people to realize that like, like this is what I go through. This is what I go through, and at the same time, it's something that another culture goes through, and hopefully that will make people like more aware. I don't know, of other people's cultures and like make them more accepting. I think that's really important as well, and that in turn can like help the political aspect of KP, which I know that people want to be part of. Okay, so other things that I believe that we can do, utilizing resources, administration, for instance, Priya Joseph, Professor Alicio, I don't know, like I believe that these are like these people are like resources that we can that co-cultural queries can turn to in order to I don't know, like reflect Filipino culture. So with that said, like I think like upon using those resources, I think it would be fun to have like fun facts at GBM once in a while about like the Filipino culture, or like just about like issues that Filipinos have faced. Not only that, but like I realized that this year, as Jarrell had stated before, like to someone else, there are certain classes that are being offered at UCSD that teach about what the Filipino culture is about. And this year they tried advertising that to make sure that people join those classes, etc. whatnot. And that's cool and everything because they said, like you should join this because you get to learn about blah blah blah. But I believe that when people did advertise about that, it was more general. Like you learn about the important heroes, well, like stuff like that. And I think that if we can actually use those resources, get something from those classes that show the Filipino culture and teach it, and like show people like, okay, this is exactly what you can learn, then I think that will, like make people want to join or make people realize how important it is to save these classes. And incorporating more culture in PCC in general. Okay, when I was talking to some of the COCOs, one of the things they said was that they wanted to keep PCC fun, and this year they did that through not only like practices, but you're having icebreakers, and icebreakers I think are super important. So I was thinking in my head, okay, like we can still do icebreakers, but why not do icebreakers in a way that reflects the Filipino culture? For instance, let's go back to this year's PCC and turn to Carlstein, or young Carlstein, when him